Good evening.
Turn sound on. All right, so hopefully you weren't a good point of the music, but you probably heard it more than once. I've got Tim's video, my capturing of it anyway, slightly off. Something's not right there. So while we got 10 minutes left, I need to fix a few things. Tim is 8.
Oh, I'm young. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, I know what the problem is. Why is that one acting funny? It's like Skype just resized something.
Yeah, it seems weird.
There's something funky with your video, and there's this little thing at the bottom. Why do they gotta change stuff?
Constantly.
All right, I think that'll have to be good enough.
That will
Now-
have to do.
Now I'm wondering what's going to happen when I go over to. All right, I got to fix that too. There's another view I have of you that I got to remember to turn these back on later. All right. Think we're good. How do we sound, Jan and Gary? How's the sound? One thing I want to check while we're in pre-show, and I can start the stream to Facebook. Let me start the stream to Facebook and get the recordings going. One thing that that has happened, I think Jan notices it whenever I switch over and show a web page. I want to show a web page and see if it happens again.
Mm-hmm.
While we're in pre-show. So, test 1, 2.
Test.
Test. Well, what's going on there?
You are not having luck today.
No. There we go. Okay. So that's recording. We'll go ahead and start everything recording just so I don't forget. Record. Now recording. Okay. So let's. I come down here an hour early and get sidetracked. I was reading about one of our stories tonight. Get sidetracked, and then I'm not ready whenever it's time to be ready. I don't even have.
That's how it always goes.
I don't even have this ready. What am I doing? Wrong password. Don't have my little iPad thing ready. Which I use for the show, Tim, and want to go flying.
Did you ever think you would say that?
I almost never use it though, so I only use it for watching chat on Facebook, and then when I go fly my drone.
It's nice for that. That's nice for.
It is the perfect size for my drone. Where is the video? Oh, there it is, right there. It is for my DJI Mavic Pro. It fits just perfect, and any bigger. I have the iPad Mini 4. Any bigger, and it wouldn't fit.
Right. Then it's over the
Yes.
size of the.
That little red light right there, Gary. If you can, I don't know how you can see that, but if you can, that's supposed to stay on right there. The one at the top should only come on, if ever, very rarely. Okay, so let's try I'm going to switch this over to this shot where we have a web page, and both Tim, you and I should talk back and forth a little bit to see if we end up with any echo.
Okay, well, I don't hear any echo right now. That's for certain.
Yeah, the recording's not picking it up, and you or AD and I don't pick it up, but Jan somehow is hearing it. So I'm wondering where it's coming in through, because theoretically I can see all the audio feeds, and if something was spiking somewhere else, I should be able to see it.
That is weird. Never a dull moment for you.
No, there's always some troubleshooting going on. Earlier tonight, before I start the show, there should be almost no upload bandwidth going on at all. It should be minuscule, whatever little devices in the house are doing something. I was at 4 meg, right around the 4 meg constantly. What is happening? So with my router, I can track down who's doing it. And it was the computer where I capture the web pages from. So why on earth would that computer, which is doing nothing, it never does, hold on. It's not send anything. The only thing it ever does is just, load up a web page. That's it. And no echo now. So I'm going to leave it here just for a couple minutes as I talk. No echo. I mean, does nothing. But it was sending out 4 meg of whatever. So that's concerning.
Yes.
Why is it? Because it has no backup program or anything. I don't care about that computer. I just reinstall Windows. But what it turned out to be, I had to close down all the web pages we have set up for tonight. I closed them. It went to 0. I reopened.
Oh, really?
I reopened them, and of course I had to download everything. So the download went up, but then it went back down to 0. So
right, which it should. Okay.
Something in one of those web pages must have been continually
running a video or something in the background.
But even running a video should only be download or very little upload.
Oh yeah, right.
All right, I'm going to switch it back to us. So no echo. Maybe I fixed it by doing I don't know what. Or maybe it's a special web page I just hadn't brought up again. So how you been doing, Tim?
Excellent. I almost finished my bathroom, which is the last step. Finishing touches going in this weekend. I ordered the glass for the partition. I'm not putting that in anyway, so that's it. That'll be the end. I will be done with the basement. And then I'm sure I'll have a lot of honeydew items to do.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you devote a lot of time toward one project, all the others fall behind.
Oh, absolutely. But that's okay. I am happy this is finally done.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I told you I had to rip down the ceiling in there a couple weeks ago.
Last time you were on the show, you told me about that. That's awful.
Yeah. Well, it came out better this time than it did the first time, so I actually feel good about it. I didn't like how the ceiling looked the first time, so now I'm happy. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
Hold on, I'm joking.
Yeah, you got the same thing as me.
I don't have a cold, though.
Oh, I do.
I went out walking last night. To me now, to go walking, I got to get my mindset back into the treadmill. Because I would so much rather would walk outside. That when there's any chance to do that, I just don't do the treadmill, thinking that I'll go do walking outside. But where it is now at the time is I got to leave almost right at 5, come straight home, change right away, go right out for a walk, and I'm just getting back when it's turning dark. And I don't like walking on this trail when it's dark. When it's cooler, it's a little bit better, but I'm not a big fan of bugs, and you go walking at dark and there's bugs. So I don't like that. Plus, I can't see very well.
Well, what time does it get dark by you now?
It's getting dark not much after 7.
Oh, I'm already dark about 6:15, 6:20.
Really?
Yeah.
We're both. I wonder why.
We might be Eastern, but you're far west from me.
Okay. Maybe that's
I really think that. I think that's what it's. Let me see. Sunset.
No, sunset will tell you it's before that, but really
5:51 from me.
5:51.
Yeah.
What time does it say for me?
Let's see. 6:47.
Huh?
Are you that much further west
that
than
can't be right. That's 2 different time zones. We're both in the Eastern time zone.
And think the people that are up in New Hampshire where they are, they're even further east than I am. That's why I don't like daylight savings time.
Wait.
I'm gonna be dark way earlier.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's but my sunset is way earlier. A sunrise, I should say, is way earlier.
That can't just be because I'm more west than you. That's kind of also
remember
the
it's also
curvature of the
you're
Earth.
Right, and you're further south than me.
Yeah, I can't be that much further west.
I don't know. I know we're dark up here way too early.
Well,
5:51. And next week it's going to be 4:51.
Oh, is that when the time chain goes?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
so
the weekend after Halloween.
Oh, so at that point, I can no longer come home and walk. I have to do treadmill. So I got to get back in the mode of that because
I've been beating you so far.
Oh, I know, because I've not been doing good.
Even though my Fitbit died again today. I was on chat with Fitbit for a couple of times because my battery wasn't lasting, and they had me do something, and it went fine. Now, about 3 weeks later, today, out of nowhere, it just died. And I charge it every day.
Yeah.
Up to 96%. And I don't always get it to 100, but the upper 90s. So I'm upset.
Yeah, I bet so. Yep. All right, so let me get us ready, and we'll get started.
Yeah, Gary's dark at 6:30.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting dark-ish. It doesn't really get dark till a little bit after 7 here. All right, why? Let me get Facebook. Facebook should be live. There we go. Just a minute. Hold on. I gotta get everything set. Recording. Right, time, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let me find out what show number this is. 223. All right, it's jpeg2RAW, show number 223. Last one here in October, right, Tim?
Yes.
Yep, last one in October, because tomorrow's Halloween.
That's why I got my Halloween shirt on.
Yeah, yep. All my kids are grown and somewhat off to college. One comes home all the time now, but so Halloween doesn't have the same appeal that it did when we had younger kids, but it is a fun time. When I was driving home tonight, I saw people outside decorating, ones that hadn't quite done it yet, getting ready for Halloween tomorrow. So we will have the light on and hand out candy tomorrow, but we don't have any of our kids going out trick-or-treating.
Do you get a lot of kids in your neighborhood?
It's sporadic. So the last few years, we've not had a lot of kids, so we end up shutting down early. But sometimes there's a group that comes through, and we'll get those, and then whatever I need to get enough kids to hand out all the candy, because if not, I'm going to eat it.
I do not want to eat it. This is I've always said it to my wife. This is the critical time for me. From Halloween through mid-January, I can easily gain 15 pounds. And I just got to stay away from the candy, give it away. I don't want to see it near me, because if I see it, I'm going to eat it. I cannot not eat it if I see it.
Yeah. So Tim and I generally in the pre-show talk some about our Fitbit. But if you don't get the pre-show, which most people don't, really probably the only people who get it are those who come to the live show or know how to find it afterwards. So what I'll do is maybe toward the end of the show, just a little brief Fitbit update and invitation at the end of toward the end of the show, but not in the post-show. We'll do it in the recorded show. If you do want to get that pre and post show, if you ever want to do that, if you subscribe to this show somewhere else other than YouTube, or even on YouTube, and you wonder where that is, the pre and post show, we start as soon as we start streaming. It's recorded on YouTube. At the end of the show, I will move it into a pre-list called live show or something like that, and rename the front up to say Raw Live Feed, so you can look for that if you want to get that pre and post ever. Otherwise, you'll just see the regular show with that stuff cut out.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so we'll talk about that toward the end of the show. There. Before that, let's talk about some photography news here, Tim. And one of the things I actually did a review of this, both on the show and a separate review, is that whole some photography news here, Tim. And universal lens cap. You remember that thing? One of the things I
remember it.
And what was some of my? Do you remember any of my complaints about it?
Yeah, it stretched out. It didn't fit well to some of your lenses. You had to use two hands. Was probably the big one versus just holding your camera and clicking it on.
So I mean, I don't know how you fix that.
Some of your lenses. You had to use two hands. Was probably the big one.
They do have a little unique video with this dude who kind of pops in and out and says funny things. So you need to go to their website, which is on Kickstarter, and then search for Covered, which is KUVRD. And why am I bringing it up again? Because I did buy one. They didn't give it to me. I bought one, and I wasn't. I got what I expected.
Right.
The cap.
I think that's exactly
it. So nothing against them. I bought what I expected. I mean, I got what I expected. Putting my lens cap on is so much easier. This did fit fairly good on my and looked pretty good on my 85 millimeter. I bought what I expected, but not enough that I'm going to replace my regular lens cap because it's so easy to put on and off. And it probably does provide a little bit of extra protection. One of the things is you'll see here in that video that's shown right now is they've added a curve to the top of it. So the one I have, if you can see that, is flat at the top, and it can touch your lens. And in that case, they can add some smearing to the top of the lens.
Right. And if you and I guess if there's any dirt in there, it could ultimately scratch the front of your lens too. Then.
Yeah. And in that case, they can. Are they hearing the video? Hold on a second.
Right. And if you and I guess if there's any dirt in there, it could ultimately scratch the front of your lens too. Then.
Yeah. There we go. Now you shouldn't be able to hear that video.
Well, I definitely don't hear it because I muted on that.
That was weird. I don't know. That's going to be interesting to cut out later on. Because that should not be feeding any audio over. But anyway, they've made some minor tweaks where they've made the little thing at the top a little bigger, the little X or whatever. And that allows you to write on it or something. But the big improvements outside of the top where they do that, where they added the little curvature to the top, the big improvements is added 2 new sizes. So a smaller one, if you remember when I was putting on my 50, it's a little bit too big.
Right.
So they've added a little bit smaller one for better, for fitting there better. And they've added a bigger one that
for 7200.
For 7200. And I think that they maybe they show it later on that it fits on a 7200 with the lens cap. It also is supposed to be a little bit more flexible and everything. So
with the lens hood, not the lens cap.
Lens hood. I'm sorry, with the lens hood. Yeah. So because I gave it a bad review the first time around, I'm going to go ahead and buy.
Oh wow!
I'm going to buy both of those sizes and do another review.
Okay.
As long as they're not that expensive. As long as they're,
Now, do you have to buy it through the Kickstarter or?
Well, I didn't the first time. I bought it actually through their website, so I don't know if they have these available on their website or not. But I will go out there and check and see if it's just through the Kickstarter. I'll probably just have to wait till they come out. And they're showing you a photo of it with the lens hood on a 70-200.
Well, I definitely like the dome, and you didn't even think about it beforehand, and it makes sense that to keep it away from the front of the lens, either for smudging it or if there's any dirt at all in there, now you got it trapped up against it and it could scratch it. Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm sure I'm going to come back with the same thing. Hey, my current lens cap is fine, because if that was the only thing, was the size didn't fit very well, then I could have put it on my 85 and said, hey, I'm good there. But so it's just not for me. And here he is taking pictures with the lens cap on. Who hasn't done that?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's a follow-up for that, and you'll have another follow-up when I actually get them.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope it's better. But it still showed him using the 2 hands, which I think is the issue with it.
Yeah,
and the well, you know what? I forget how much lens caps are. They're not cheap. I know if you want a lens cap, I know a lens hood, forget about it. That's very expensive for a 7200 generally. But I wonder what the difference in cost is between a lens cap for a 7200 and the.
Maybe you can search while we're talking.
I am actually.
I have, knock on wood, so far I have not ever lost a lens cap, so I've not had to replace one.
Well, that's good.
So for me, I guess if I had lost them or broken one somehow, because you could break it, sometimes when I take mine off, I throw it in a bag. I am careful with my bag, so it's unless something crazy went on, it's not going to get broken. I will tell you this, Tim. So the closest I've come to breaking a lens was I had my 7200 in a camera bag with a UV filter on the front of it and the lens cap on it. And I set my bag down, and I would say when it was about, maybe 8 inches or so off the ground, I kind of let go. And when I did that, I heard a crack. I heard a crack. My first thought was, oh my gosh, I just broke my 7200. And it's a Nikon 7200 2.8, VR lens. Those things are not cheap.
No.
And I took it out, and when I took it out, I could hear glass falling all over the place. And what it was the UV filter. So the lens cap must have hit that thing, and when it hit it, it broke the UV filter, and that UV filter went shattered all over the place. Unfortunately, did not impact I was able to just brush it off or blow it off, then brush off some little pieces off the lens. It didn't scratch the lens at all. It was very fortunate. I've not put another filter back on that thing ever since because that scared me. The first I thought, oh great, it did what it's supposed to do. It broke instead of the lens. But I think if I wouldn't have had it on there at all, it wouldn't have broke at all. It wouldn't have damaged the lens, and of course the filter wouldn't have broke. Because I could have broken the lens filter, and then the glass shards scratched the lens.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, something like this, would have been better.
Yes.
And not done that. Gary says that's why he never uses UV filters, and I've gone the other way too. Is I used to use them on everything, and now I don't use them on anything.
I think I have it on one lens now, and that's because it's been on there, and I don't think I would buy one anymore. Yeah. More likely to have the lens hood on there, which is protecting the front element usually.
Yeah, especially for a 7200, I would have the lens hood on.
Oh yeah, if something gets into there, it's going to break through everything.
Yes, then. Yeah. But it's almost like they were listening to us whenever we were talking about some of the problems with this thing. I'm sure they've heard it from quite a few people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Tim, have you ever rented gear?
No, I have not.
You've never rented gear?
No. I've come very close with it and then said no.
So there's several places you can rent lenses and cameras and all that kind of stuff from.
Right.
And I have rented something once, and it worked out fine. The lens, I can't remember what it was now, but the lens worked out good. I think it was from Lens Rental or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the place you're talking about is a place I almost rented from.
Yeah, and that worked out well. I got it, I used it, I shipped it back. Everything worked out fine. Now there's a service, or there has been a service for a while, where you can do the opposite, where you can rent out your own gear. Everything worked out fine. If you feel like doing that. Now there's a service.
Yeah, I'm not so certain I would do that, especially after I read the article.
Yeah, so they don't say his last name, but photographer Peter was renting out his gear, and he was a little nervous at first too. Like, this sounds
especially after
like an easy way for somebody to steal all my gear. He's in New York, up there where you are, Tim, and it's a service called Kit Split. And this is an article on Petapixel. He's in New York, up there where you are, Kit Split, where you can rent out your gear, and he was making $100 a pop when somebody would rent out their gear, when he'd rent out his gear. And he started off small, and he talked to Kit Split about what happens if somebody breaks my gear, what happens if somebody steals my gear. And they said it's covered by insurance, all that kind of stuff. So he felt a little bit better about it. Echo. About what happens if somebody breaks my gear, what happens if somebody steals my gear. Yeah, what is happening here?
Website sound is playing. But I don't know if that was from before. I don't have a time on when he posted that.
That was earlier. Yep.
Okay.
Somehow these freaking web pages keep playing. All right, now it should be stopped. Anyway, he rented out his gear. We'll wait for Jan as she comes in and tells me I don't have that. Rented out his gear to a couple people after getting assurances from Kit Split that there was, covered by insurance. And this first few went well. The person would come in. You meet them in person, you hand off the gear. It went well. The person returned it. He made $100, and after doing this for a while, made $1,200.
Right, for equipment he wasn't using, and if I remember correctly, he looked at what they had out there, and he wound up renting equipment that wasn't really out there. Yep. So people were interested in it.
Yeah, he was doing film equipment at first because there wasn't a whole lot of film equipment to rent. So he had rent out his film gear and did that. Then what had ended up happening was somebody rented out, his Canon 5DS R. I'm not familiar with that camera. And various gear worth about $4,500. And the guy was going to have it for, I guess, a day. Yeah, I think it was a day.
No, for the weekend, I think it was.
Oh, was
a
it
weekend.
for a weekend? Because maybe it changed. I think at first it was a day, then it became a weekend, something like that. And he was going to make about 80, 90 bucks on the deal. And we don't need to go through the whole list of stuff here. But in the end, what ended up happening was he lost track of the guy. The guy never came back. He was texting a guy. They tried to set up a time for him to come and return it to him. And then eventually the guy just stopped responding at all. And so then he went back to KitSplit and said, hey, this guy's not returning my gear. Can you get a hold of him? KitSplit tried to. And that's when they found out that this guy had multiple warrants for his arrest. He was
kicked out of school that he was in, school for stealing.
Because he actually said he needed it for a project he was doing for school. And he continued to post photos of himself on Instagram in various states using this guy's gear. So the NYPD was looking for him for those warrants and that kind of stuff. And KitSplit, so part of what KitSplit had told him they did was they did background checks and checked these
vetting
people.
Vetting the people.
Vetting the people who were what do you call it? Renting. And so you thought you were renting to legitimate people. So this turned out to be a student who was already kicked out of school for various things. I can't remember what all he was doing, but
theft of equipment.
Okay, there you go. Theft of equipment. Yeah, that sounds like good. He had warrants out for his arrest, so KitSplit didn't do a great job of vetting this person. But then, make it even matters worse when Peter went to KitSplit to say, "All right, you can't get it. I can't get it. Your insurance needs to reimburse me for the $4,500." They said, "Oh no. That is for if they broke it." Or if someone stole it from them. Now, in this case, since he stole it from you, it actually technically isn't even a crime because you handed it to him.
Yeah, they called it voluntary parting.
Voluntary parting. You have voluntarily, like I gave Tim a camera, even though we had an agreement that you would return it, I gave it to you. You have to take it up in a civil court. It's not a criminal matter.
Yeah, that was crazy when I read that one. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that is awful. So, and I think his insurance that he had covering his gear, the personal insurance, didn't cover it either because it was, again, not stolen.
Right, he gave it to somebody.
Yeah.
And the police refused to do anything about it because it wasn't considered stolen for the same exact reason.
Yeah, so
they said it's a civil matter, not a criminal matter.
Just one.
I was like, this was a great theft by this guy.
Yeah, so this is a great lesson. So when he contacted a lawyer, actually KitSplit came back to him and said, "All right, we're not going to give you $4,500, but we'll give you $2,000." And his first thoughts were, "There's no way I'm taking $2,000 on $4,500 when I specifically asked you guys about this, and you were going to cover me." And he talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer says, "Dude," a friend of his, I thought he said the word "dude," but he said, "Dude, look at the contract you signed. It says right here in the fine print that you're not covered for this event." So he ended up
take what you can get.
Take what you can get. The lawyer told him take what you can get. He took the $2,000, and the other $2,500 is a lesson learned.
Well, there was an update posted to the article today. KitSplit has fully compensated him for it as of today, and it indicated they're making improvements to the policies. An additional update soon. So he's been fully compensated for it. Now, is it because he's posted these articles about this that they didn't want the negative press or anything? I'm sure that was part of it. But he at least has been made whole on this.
You're a company who needs photographers on both ends of your business. Photographers renting, photographers rent as a rentor and a rentee, right? And there's an article posted on Petapixel, which is a huge photography website. I'm sure this thing got lots of views. So yeah, I'm sure KitSplit would have never given him more than the $2,000 had this article not come out. And because of this article now, I didn't know that, but because of this article now, they're going to go ahead and make him whole.
Yes. So that's good at least, and maybe they're going to need to do something where they're going to have to hold somebody's credit card if they rent something to cover it in the event of theft, and that I could see them doing.
Yeah, and the poor guy who rented it even took a photo of the rentor holding his driver's license up to his, up to him. So you have a copy of his driver's license, a copy of him, all that stuff. So you think, I've got it, I'm covered. But in this case, the law is not going to do anything for you. Police aren't going to help you at all.
Right. No, it was something you did not foresee, and you want to see the good in people, I guess. And he felt he had done well with it previously. With I think he had 10 rentals previous to this, and everything went well. And maybe, like he said, he let his guard down, and he still rents through Kit Split, and he now said he rejects pretty much 50% of the rentals that comes to him now, because he's a little bit more critical of who he's going to let borrow. And I think some of the things he said that you need to do: have a personal insurance that covers renting and voluntary parting. Do not rent to new users without feedback or online history, which is sad, because how do they get that without renting?
Yeah.
Do a quick Google search of the rent to make sure they are working professionals with legitimate websites or IMD pages.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad, but that's everywhere. So you can't trust.
No,
you can't trust people. All right, so a little bit better feel good story here. Well, two actually, but first up is this crazy thing. Have you seen this? Jan, hopefully you don't hear any echo, because I think I fixed something else that should stop it. But this guy wanted to, let's see, when I start the video, let's see if it has sound. This guy wanted to make a lens out of ice.
Yes.
So he actually wanted to go find, some ice that was somewhat pure, although I don't know what, that
right,
means.
you need to find pure ice.
So, you could probably have made that at home, but he went to Iceland and got...
Well, that's ice. I mean, go figure.
Yeah, he went to Iceland. I say, well, we'll make it full screen there so you can see it better. He went to, and that's what you're going to get with the ice lens. It's not going to be great optics. But it is cool that you made a lens out of ice. And the photographer's name is, I think it's Matthew Stern, but it's Mathieu.
That's how I would say Matthew.
Yeah. Stern. And he went to Iceland, found some ice. He 3D printed a holder for it. And, then went and found some ice on the beach. And he had some kind of ice baller that there's this 3D holder for it that he printed. He had an ice baller that there's ice baller that he kind of modified to make the lens, the ice fit into that sphere that he can put in there and then attach it to his camera. The thing was, I think the ice actually, and I think this is him testing, the ice only lasted, even in Iceland, because I guess it was above 32 degrees, or next to his camera, which was above 32 degrees. The ice only lasted a couple minutes. So you had to basically make it, put it in the holder, then attach it to your camera and take your shots with it. So in the meantime, he got a nice trip to Iceland to do all this stuff. And that doesn't look too pure, but he's going to go to what's called Diamond Beach. If you ever, my gosh, there's so many beautiful photography places on this planet. Iceland is one of those things on my bucket list. I've probably mentioned it before. I've gone to one of them, Alaska, but not as a photographer. I went to Alaska as the husband on a cruise.
As the husband.
Yeah, so it's a 25th wedding anniversary. I'd love to go to Iceland as a photographer, because it is just absolutely gorgeous. And this is what they call Diamond Beach, I believe, here. Look up some YouTube videos on Iceland. It is just, if you're into landscape photography, it is a gorgeous place. So, there you go.
It looks otherworldly with some of the pictures.
It does look otherworldly. And you got icebergs just floating up on the beach all the time, because he's there in the summer, actually. It's, all the time. So he, as we watch this, he's going to get some ice, then he's got to ball it, and then put it into his holder, and then quickly take some shots. There he is trying to ball it. There's a fifth, and multiple tries broke. He said, there you go. After 5 unsuccessful hours, not tries, hours of trying it, he finally gets one that works in his ice baller. I never even heard of an ice baller.
I actually saw one on the cruise the last time. It was a big thing that weighed a lot. Yeah. It was much bigger than this, though, and it just compresses it so that it doesn't melt in your if you have like a bourbon or a scotch or something.
Okay. And obviously, you know, Diamond Beach is not clean, so you get some junk on it. So he's putting it into his lens holder, and then he's going to do something very cool. You know, it's not a practical lens, of course.
No,
but
not at all.
I always find it cool, these people who can, you know, make pinhole cameras or make things into cameras, or in this case, lenses, that aren't really, you know, lenses or cameras or something. Get that out of the way. So he's going to take a few photos with it. Of course, that's not great quality, like I said, but, you know, you're taking photos with a piece of ice.
Yes. They look ghostly, the
They
pictures.
do. They do. They do.
Well, people have ideas.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. And you get a trip
And
to
either way,
Iceland
like
out
you
of
said,
it.
you got it right. You got a trip to Iceland, if nothing else.
Yep. Well, that's about it. You go over to his YouTube channel. Let's see. What is his YouTube channel? Matthew Stern. Actually, he's got 65,000 views in this. We don't need to watch an ad. But Matthew, there we go. Hopefully there's no echo this time, Jan. Matthew Stern over on YouTube. You can check his video out and get, you know, all the stuff there. He does post some more information about it in the comments. All right. So I think that's a fairly good, feel-good story. Better than that kit split thing that we talked about earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one, Tim, before we go to a tip, I have a tip for tonight.
Okay.
Before we get to the tip, I want to go over this one. Are you looking at what's the tip? Do you know
Nope.
what the tip is?
No, I do not. But I'm going to look for it now.
Yeah, if you look at the show notes, you would see. Because I have a few things in there we're not
No, I didn't go down to the bottom, so.
It's not at the bottom. It's near the top. Don't say it out loud if you see it.
The first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I have the site open.
Okay.
I opened it before.
All right. So before we get to that, did you see this article?
This was a heartwarming
This is
article.
also on Petapixel. What do you know? So photographer Matthew Dipple was out there with his friend named Josh, and he came over to the spot where this is in Yosemite National Park. There's this famous overhang where he was going to have his friend run out over there and stand out there, take a photo of his friend. And while it looks like he's very far away from this spot, he's using a very wide-angle lens that gives it that effect, and he's really about a 2-minute walk away. So it's fairly quickly he can get over there. So his friend goes over there, and while he's getting set up, he sees this couple walk out there and do this. You know, the couple walk out there.
The guy kneels down.
Guy kneels down and proposes to this girl. So he takes the photo and then runs over there to find him. But by the time he gets over there and he asks everybody who's around,
Right, like 20 people,
like
and
20
nobody
people.
knew anything.
Yeah, no one knew anything, so he lost the person. So he then posted on social media, you know, hey, help me look for this, and it got shared a bunch of times. And just recently, they found the couple, Charlie Bear.
Charlie Bear and his fiancée, Melissa.
And his fiancée, Melissa, found them. And I'm not sure he shared the photo with them, but found them. And this was actually, I think, their second proposal. Charlie says that it's the first real one. This was the one that really counted, I guess. So that was a really good feel-good story and a good use of social media to find these people. Because before social media, you never found these people.
Not a chance.
Yeah. You wouldn't have gone through the effort of any way to have found those people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know how you would even find him. If you didn't find him that day when he went running over there,
it's over. So hopefully this couple want this photo, because if I was this couple, I definitely would want this photo.
I think he had said he was going to print it for free for them.
Yeah, and I would have this, you know, somewhere big. I mean, that's
that would be over the couch or somewhere in my room or something.
Which is a little. I don't know. They didn't say this, but it's a little interesting that they didn't hire or bring a friend with them to take this photo.
Right. Well, you're not thinking of it.
Well, if you can't tell from this, but doesn't he look like he's somewhat dressed up, and so does she?
I can't tell from this.
Yeah, I can't tell for sure, but he had to have known he was going to go do this, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. He did, definitely.
I mean,
Yes.
this wasn't
So
like
he
they
could.
walked out there in a spur of the moment. He did it. He
No, no,
planned this.
absolutely. Yes. He would have known what he was doing, and he could have had somebody come out there
Exactly.
and take the picture. You know, I'm going to be proposing, and unless you're not telling anybody, it's a surprise to everybody.
That's
But
true. It could have been that way too. You know, we don't know the backstory for their backstory, but now you do have a photo one way or the other. You either have an additional photo or you have the only photo. I will say, as I was reading about this, it does look dangerous. This shot looks dangerous, right?
yes.
It is dangerous. I think 10 people a year die
Really?
in this spot falling down. And
Well,
recently,
they don't have any guardrails or anything there. So if you and people get too close to the edge and
Yep.
do something stupid, I guess. Yeah.
there are guardrails in the area. I don't know if there's guardrails exactly there, but there are guardrails in the area. And there's even been, so recently there was a couple who fell off of here. They had like a little travel blog or whatever, and they fell from here. And you know, maybe it's not quite as far as what you want. You know, they fell at least 80 feet. There was even a you know those wing suits you can get into where you can jump off.
Yeah,
of a
yeah, yeah,
cliff?
yeah. Base jumping
There's
or whatever.
yeah, base jumping. There's a some guy who was very experienced at doing that, jumped off of here, and he died. So yeah, I mean it is a dangerous place, and I don't know if they don't know why the couple died that fell off.
I
It wasn't
don't
this
think I
couple.
could walk. I don't. Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
I don't think I could get out there then. No, I'm terrified of heights, and that I could not walk out
I'm
there.
terrified of heights too. And what's ironic about the couple who did fall, again, not this couple, the couple that did fall, is that they had posted on some social media before about the dangers of doing high. You know, those people who will be on top of something and take photos of them way up there.
Right.
And they talked about that and said it is super dangerous because a wind gust could blow you right over. So that's the thing.
And you don't know. Maybe that's what happened to them.
Yeah,
right?
you don't know that's what happened. You'll never be able to ask them because they fell.
No, you won't ask.
Yeah, so that is sad that happened, but you know, good for this couple who will get this photo.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that's. You imagine what they must have said when and you don't know if they found it or if somebody else saw it of them
Yeah.
and said, "Melissa, you got to see this picture of you guys getting engaged." What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I mean, that's got to be a great feeling.
well, the photographer himself, Matthew Dipple, I think I'm saying his name right, was super excited when he found that he found the couple. I mean, that was
Absolutely.
very exciting for him. Yeah. All right, so one last article, Tim. So a
I've
while
had this for a couple of weeks in the notes.
I have. We just haven't got around to it. So a while back, didn't we
Gives me the willies.
a while back, didn't we do a how to take better cat photos?
Yes.
We did. We did better how to take better cat photos. So we're going to change and move either up or down on the food chain. So not that cats should be on the food chain going up. You know, hopefully nothing up is eating cats. At least not here in my part of the world.
Yes. I was going to say.
But there are things cats eat.
And humans eat this too.
Humans eat this too, yeah. And so tonight we're going to give some tips from a website. I don't go to this website very often, but it's Orvis. I should say I don't ever go to this website, but they had a good article. Orvis.com, which I don't even know what kind of site that is. But
Yeah, I was just going to go look.
this is, and when I show it to you, your first thought is going to be, oh, this is a joke. Right, Mike? This is a joke. And I may joke around a little bit about it, but the article definitely is not joking. The article is definitely serious. And if you look at it with a serious nature and you are a photographer who wants to take photos of this subject, then there's some good tips here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of this subject, these photos are actually pretty good.
They're very good, I thought.
Yeah, these photos are actually very good. So, and I imagine if you do get this subject, and I'm beating around the bush for a long time on this, aren't I? But if you do get this subject, because Gary and Jan are going, oh boy, what is this going to be? If you do get this subject, we'll probably all take it the same way, right? Or probably have somebody else take a photo of us. And that is we hold it up next to ourselves to show the size of, look how big or small, usually look how big this thing is. And that is a fish.
Roadkill.
Gary says roadkill. No, that's a fish. That is a fish. Look how big my fish is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're catching the fish to eat the fish, you're not, the fish is going to die. Let's just be blunt. The fish is going to die, and having it out of the water is not a big deal. But a lot of fishermen, especially fly fishermen, which I think is what mainly is happening here, fly fishermen are in a lot of cases, are catch and release. They catch, they release, and try and do. They don't generally have barbs in the hook, and they try and do minimal damage to the fish. Right. Tim?
Yeah.
So along that minimal damage is you don't want to just be holding it up by the gills, up by your head.
Right, because it's going to die when it goes back in the water.
Right.
Or maybe not all of them, but enough of them.
Fish can generally stay out of the water for a little bit. I don't know. I don't have a stopwatch and know exactly how long it is. But fish can stay out a little bit and then you put them back down. But, you start yanking on the gills and stuff, you can do damage to them. And they may not die right away, but they may die later, which is not what you're wanting to do here. So what this article was talking about, and I know this sounds like a stupid article, but hey, if you're a fisherman, and if you want to take better fish photos, and that sounds so stupid to say, but it's true. I mean, I know a lot of fishermen, and I fish sometimes too. And you want to get a good quality photo sometimes of that fish. What they're basically saying, and I'll tell you that the tip number one, which we give away to beginners all the time, and you'll see this as a theme in these photos, is getting down to the subject level. Look at these photos as we go through them.
They're practically in the water.
They're practically in the water. And almost in all cases, it's someone else taking the photo of the fish. So the person holding the fish is generally not the one taking the fish. Although
I don't think there were any of them in there.
They had one toward the end where it was a selfie, because maybe you're fishing by yourself or your buddy doesn't want to take a picture of your fish. So, basically what they're going down is talking about keep the fish out of the water a minimal amount of time. So you caught the fish, you dehooked it, you are going to set it down into water, maybe even have it, like in this case, partially into the water, but only out of the water for a minimal amount of time, and then you let it go. And, here's a shot where he's actually letting the fish go. You can even get some decent shots where the fish is slightly underwater, maybe when it's just taken off, or you're holding it underwater like that. So he also shows some scenes here where you've got the fish next to some gear. Like the one we're going to see later is he has it next to the net, which is just actually for a fish photo. It's actually a really good photo. One thing I've noticed as a theme in some of these photos, and this one here, what they're doing is instead of a side shot, you got a front shot, which is a different view of it. And to me, what makes some of these shots is you got the fish, you got the water, he's buried out of there, the water is dripping from the fish, you got some of the gear in the background, and the
you know exactly what they're doing.
The fisherman's arm and everything going on there. It actually is a good photo of a I think it's a trout, a good photo of a trout there. Fish model S. Fish models, yeah. And he's showing some of the fish next to some of the other gear, and you may even think this fish is dead, but then he lets it go. And here's the one with the net.
Yeah.
And there was with some more gear.
I'll tell you the colors, the time that they took this, it's got to be either early morning or late evening. The sun is low. These are great colors in these pictures, especially the one with the net.
Yeah. So a lot of fishermen you get out really early.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's early.
And you fish to mid-morning, whatever. And I know some people who fish the entire day. Matter of fact, I got a text from somebody today, right before the show, who wanted me to go with him Saturday at 5 a.m. and we'll get back around 8 p.m.
Oh.
I think he was joking with me because he knows I'm not going to do that. But he would. And so anyway, these are probably all morning ones. They do, if you notice with these, Tim, there's one thing that they also do. They're doing a lot of vignetting around there. And often whenever the person is up top, top part of the frame, they will vignette from the top a little more too. Even more so driving that focus onto the fish. And I like that one. There's another one they do a little bit later on, where they're showing some of the background. If I get to that photo here. You can see there as they've darkened the top part of it to de-emphasize the fisherman, and then to emphasize the fish. Yeah, Jan says it must be difficult to get them to sign a release. I guess they just tail flap it. They just tail flap it. They sign it with their tail. Ba-da-bum-bum. Here you go. Here's the photo I was thinking of. So you got the fisherman in the shot. You got the dog in the background. They're all blurred out because you shot with a very wide open aperture. The fish is there, and they're probably just about to let it go. But those supporting background, what do you call it? Supporting background subjects. The person, the fish, even though the fishing line that's coming in there, all that adds to it. When I look at this, because I love dogs, I look at the dog there too.
And then here's your selfie.
And there's the selfie. So I'm betting you somebody listening to jpeg2RAW or watching jpeg2RAW is a fisherman and has tons of fish shots of them holding the fish up.
Holding it up like this. Look what I caught.
Now, maybe you're not a fisherman, or maybe you are, and you go with somebody who is, and you maybe take your camera or even your phone, and that gives you some tips on how to take better fish photos.
Yep. Oh, I like that. If I was a fisherman, this would be something I would have done.
Yep. Now, what I would love, my favorite subject of pets or things like this is not a cat, not a fish, but dogs. So I would love to get on the show. We had a long time ago, Tim. Remember that? We had the underwater dog photographer, Seth Castile.
Oh my God. That might have been like within the second year.
I think that was. So probably way before Jan or Gary or anybody else who's listening right now. It was in the early days, not that we don't have problems now, but we had tons of problems back then with it. But Seth was a great guest. If you ever want to go back and watch that, I can't remember what show it was. It was back in probably the 30s or under 100. If you go to our site and just search for it, you can see it. But Seth does a thing where he basically has the owner throw a ball, or maybe he does it, throw a ball into a pool. He's under the water, and then the dog comes running in and jumps after the ball. And as it's coming in under the water after that ball, he's taking photos of it. And he has mastered that in his photos. I think he even did a book on it. And for a while, he had a TV show. And from those photos, he also got a cameo experience. What do you call it? A cameo on the Duck Dynasty. He was on Duck Dynasty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was on Duck Dynasty.
It's a cameo.
Yeah. Cameo
appearance.
There it is. Cameo appearance on Duck Dynasty. If you watch that show, it's canceled now. But Seth Castile, great dog photographer. I would like to find another dog photographer to come on the show and talk to them, because I love dog photos. Right, Tim?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that was all the articles I had for tonight.
They were good ones.
Yeah, they were good.
I don't know which one my favorite one was.
It was definitely the fish one, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, I don't always.
I've been waiting for that one.
Yeah.
And Orvis looks like to be a fishing website of some sort.
I think it is. Yeah. Yep. So something I want to do every now and then when we don't have a guest, and it's been a long time since we've had a guest, but we're gonna have guests coming up before long. We're gonna start having some guests again. Maybe as we roll out of 2018 and into 2019, we've been going with this format for a while where we do news stories. We're going to start mixing it up some and start having some guests. But intermixed into that, and tonight, I also want to point out some, what I'm going to call featured photographers. Featured in the sense that I just run across photographers every now and then. Some of them have a large following, some of them don't. Like I talked about Thomas Heaton before. New to me, I had not heard of Thomas Heaton before I found his YouTube channel. By the time I found him, hundreds of thousands of other people had already found him, so I was not breaking new ground. But, I wanted to, say that because maybe there's other people who, like me, had never heard of Thomas Heaton. So tonight I'm going to talk about a photographer who's not as big as Thomas Heaton as far as followers as I can find. So maybe you have not followed this person. And that is Rachel Cohen. And I have done a terrible job of tracking how I've met people. Okay? So I have no idea how I met Rachel. So Rachel, if you actually listen to the show, I don't know how we came in contact each other. Please reach out to me and let me know, because I do a terrible job of doing that. But I follow her on Twitter. She posts she is an awesome landscape photographer, as you can see from some of these images. Go over to RC for Rachel Cohen, rcnaturalphotos.pixels.com. I'll put that in the show notes.
That's a big site.
Yeah. I'll put that in the show notes because I don't know if you're going to remember that, but it's RC Nature. Did I say natural? rcnaturephotos.pixels.com. And you can see from some of these photos as we go through them, they're just, some of these are just fantastic.
Stunning.
They're just stunning. I follow her over on Twitter. There's links on her site from Twitter, so you can go over there. And I think this might have been the one that she recently posted on Twitter that I commented about. But Rachel Cohen,
where is she from?
Michigan. She describes herself as a fine art, landscape, and nature photographer, but she's from Michigan. She's not, as far as I can tell, on Facebook. She has, these links that you see here over on the right are where you want to share it to there. But she is on Twitter, and what her Twitter handle is, I don't know. I'll have to look that up and put it in the show notes too. There you go, Rachel Cohen.
Very nice. Nice shots.
Photos out. All right, and Jane, you mentioned Don Kamarachka. Don has his own show, Photo Geek Weekly. I've been on as a guest 3 times. Every time we talk about Don, I need you to come on my show, and he's dying to come on. It's, to tell you the truth, it's been me not reaching out to him to set up a date, because if you subscribe to the show or you watch live like Jan and Gary are tonight and some other people, Tim and I have been somewhat sporadic as things have gotten in the way of us doing shows. I'm hoping that will settle down. And so because of that, I've been a little bit reluctant to schedule guests, but we'll start doing that soon. And Don's probably going to be one of the first ones we get on the show, Don Kamarachka. I'm also going to try and get Seth White to come back on the show, although his news is kind of dragging out now. It's kind of old. He switched from Canon to Sony, so that mirrorless, and it's not so much of a news story anymore. So we may have to have him on for something else too. But all right. So,
yeah, but you could talk. I mean, it's probably about good. I don't think it's 6 months yet that he has it, but it'd be a good time to say, how is it? How is it now that you're converted over?
Well, and Sessa's done,
especially since it's going to Sony. I mean, that's the best part.
But since we last talked to him, Sessa's done a humongous amount of different things, so there'll be a lot to talk to him about. All right, as we head out, I'll catch you up on the Fitbit, because the reason I'm going to include it in the show tonight, and generally I don't. Generally it's in the pre-show or the post-show. But vast majority of people don't ever see the pre and post. So if you don't see that, you just subscribe. Both Tim and I, although Tim doesn't have his on right now, so I'm getting more steps.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Mine's charging.
Dang, it didn't work. Tim and I both are friends on Fitbit. If you have a Fitbit, search for, I think I'm Mike H, maybe out there. I forget what photo I have on, but if you want to, you can email me at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com if you want to be sure which thing I have. If you have a Fitbit and want to be Fitbit friends, Fitbit me, then you'll see Tim, and we can become Fitbit friends if you're into that. And we don't do challenges very often, but we'll taunt each other and do that kind of stuff. I got my own things I'm trying to do to get in shape and everything, and that doesn't always mean walking the maximum number of steps. So Fitbit challenges I will only accept on a rare basis, but it's still good to have Fitbit friends.
It takes you out of your you out of your routine.
So if you're into that, friend us. We'd like to get some more friends. I think we've already got me and you, of course. We got Christina, we've got Michael, we've got
Jim.
Barry and Jim. Barry and Michael are just killing it all the time.
I think I passed Barry this week, though.
Oh, did you? Well, I don't know what he's doing, because he's not
syncing his Fitbit.
Maybe that's it, because he's lost I forget what it is, but he's lost a lot of weight. And And I would tell you, so
I
how,
haven't.
what does this have to do with photography? Some of it doesn't have anything to do with photography. Yeah, we don't have to be 100% here about that. But for me, it actually, as I'm starting to lose weight and get in better shape, I'm willing to walk further with the camera, willing to hike in different places I wouldn't have hiked maybe before with the camera. So it does go, getting in shape goes with life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of hiking to get photos, Tim, how's your fall colors up there?
I was commenting to my wife, and my son was in the car the other day, and it was like, sporadic trees by here are absolutely beautiful. The other ones are green. It's got to be the type of trees we have here. I never on Long Island get good colors.
Okay.
They're gonna go brown or just fall out of the trees. There are some trees with absolutely beautiful colors, but vast majority of them are still green. And I know I think I'm beyond what they call the
Peak.
peak point already.
Yeah.
So that I'm expecting those trees just to turn brown, and that's it.
I think down here in Georgia, we're about a week off of a normal cycle. So maybe 2 weeks. They're saying we're actually going to peak instead of the end of October. It may be toward the end of the first, or maybe even into the second week of November. I guess because of the warmer weather and not getting colder, I assume. So there's still some time here.
Yeah, Gary's up here in the New Jersey area, and he's got the same. He says so.
Yeah, maybe
we're just behind.
Maybe you're just behind. It's a good thing for me because the thing I always struggle with, Tim, and I bet you do the same thing with me, is finding the time to get out and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
During the week, I'm working I leave here, it's dark, and I guess next week when the time changes, I'll be getting home when it's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And there's night photography you can do, but I don't do a whole lot of that. That was weird. Something just weird happened. For me, that's, I want to get out and shoot other things. So that basically means that the weekends are the only time I can shoot. And I would say for the vast majority of Saturday morning up until maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I'm down here doing, podcast stuff.
Right.
And then Sundays are generally, work around the house. So I've not made the time. And
I have not taken a lot of pictures this year at all.
I would say that every time around today, and as Wednesday comes on, and as Thursday comes on, I'm telling myself, this is going to be the weekend. I'm going to make myself do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not happening. So
it's not happening.
It's not happening. I gotta force myself because up there with you are up where I'm at, it may be delayed by a week or 2, but it's coming and it's going to go.
It's coming, and you're not going to be able to stop it.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so we're going to go ahead and head into post-show. Thank you for coming out and trying to have this out and published by this weekend, which I'll be doing Saturday. Yes, that's what we talked about. So until next show, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, post. Here we go, post-show. You see that little thing how it flips out when I do that?
Mm-hmm. Any idea why?
Yeah. It's not necessarily intentional, but because I only have 4 overlays, and that I
like how you do that though.
Flip out.
Like you threw it up there.
Yeah. So like when I take it down, it does like that. I meant to do it with another overlay, something I was going to do when it comes in. I think it's this one. That when I come in,
it looks like it comes out of your head.
Yeah. So when we have the graphic up there, it doesn't look that way. It looks like it's coming out of one of the letters. But that flipping, because it uses the same overlay, it's having the same effect. So all right, I'll just have to live with it. Mike just flipped. Yeah. So there's not a lot of, where I live, there's not a lot of street photography. I live in a smaller town. Well, where I would go, Gary, so I think where I would go is, we have Swanee Town Center. I've taken photos from there before. If you watch the next photo review show, I talked about this, when was it, 2 days ago during the Sunday show, that the next one, AD is going to be able to really critique me. It's a photo I did of Swanee Town Center, and I could go there and do some street photography you talked about. Mm-hmm. I'm not really comfortable with that yet, though, taking pictures of strangers. But
right. Yeah.
The photo that AD is going to critique is one I took of as a morning shot. I went there before sunrise, set up, waited for sun to hit a certain spot, took the photo, and it's actually, I think, a 3-image HDR shot that'll blend it together. So lots of opportunities for them to pick on that photo. Also, I think it was a wide-angle lens, so there's probably some distortion going on. And I noticed afterwards, when I got home, I had a lot of dust on the sensor. Mm-hmm. And so I cloned out a lot of it, but not all of it. And that might have been the camera, Tim, that I later cleaned live on the show. That thing was awful with dust. and that was
a long time ago.
Yeah, and I think there was one dust spot that was so big I couldn't get rid of it, and I'm hoping it just kind of blends in. So AD is going to catch all that because he catches all those things that are wrong.
I gotta clean one of my my sensors on one of my cameras.
Well, after I did that one time, I'm not afraid to do it again.
Yeah. No, I'm not afraid to do it. I just gotta do it.
Yeah.
I've actually been using my other body instead right now, so I don't have to. I've been putting it off.
So the thing that was happening with Jan, it's going to be interesting to see what it did in the recording. When she would hear when I would bring this over, let's see if we can recreate the echo. So if I bring that up, he would hear when I would bring
echo.
Jan, are you hearing? Let's see if we can recreate the echo. Are you hearing the echo now? Are you hearing other noise? That up. So I wonder what
echo.
He would hear when I would bring
echo.
Jan, are you hearing?
That is weird.
It's Facebook over there is playing. I'm watching the Facebook feed. But no sound should be coming from over there. I'm going to leave that back on and see if we get the echo. It's Facebook over there is playing. I'm watching the Facebook feed. The way I'm bringing it over with the NDI, from over there. I'm going to leave that back on and see if we get bring over the echo. It's Facebook sound. Over there is playing. I'm watching the Facebook feed. The way I'm bringing it over with the NDI, from over there. I'm going to leave that back on and see if we get bring over but the echo. I now know how to turn it off. So she's probably hearing it. I'll go ahead and turn it off. So I don't need. Yep, he hears the echo, and now you should hear it go away. Tim, you've given me a lot of edit points.
I have my coughing
and your nose stuff.
Oh God. Sorry.
So if you listen to the live show, you're going to have that in there. But I record Tim and I on different tracks. Me on left, Tim on right.
So he wipes me out for most of it.
Well, what happens is most of the time, because I know how to stop it now, Jan. Thank you. Most of the time, the two of us are not talking at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I can look at the soundtrack and I can see if I'm talking and you have noise.
You can cut me out.
I can cut you out. If you're talking and I have noise, I can cut me out. Because when I grab this, that makes noise.
So in other words, people are going to see me going like this and be like, what did he just do?
Well, if they may think that you are a real good expert at muting your mic when you do that.
There you go. I like that. Thank you, Mike.
The problem with muting your mic is I'll do mine.
Oh, yeah.
There's a click.
You hear that click?
There's a click. So if you did that every time you're about to sneeze or cough or something, you'd have a click.
Yeah, now, that's not good.
If I knew you were going to do it, I could do this. Say something now, Tim. Now, I heard you, but no one out there heard you.
Oh.
Now they can hear you.
So you heard me click on and off with the mute button?
Yeah. Yeah. My little thing here has a slider for Mike and a slider for Tim. So if I knew it was coming, I could just silence you. But
wow.
I don't pay that. It's hard enough for me to pay attention to all this than to pay attention when you might cough or I might cough.
Yeah, really.
All right, so I need to send an email to Don.
Yeah, I always enjoyed listening to him. Always.
And he's doing something now with ultraviolet. He was the macro guy. He did a lot of
snowflake guy.
Yeah, snowflake guy, which he still does incredible work there. He was doing infrared, and now he's doing ultraviolet, which is just incredible. And he's more than willing to come on the show. I am also I am a Patreon of two people on Patreon, AD and Don. And Don has done it in a way where it's per show versus per month. Mm-hmm. And I think he's only he's been doing his shows for a while. But I think he just now put one show on Patreon. So this next month, I should have my first actual donation to Don. There, you definitely not. And somebody like AD and Don are not going to get rich, or
Right.
probably even cover the cost. But it does help a little bit.
That's always a good thing.
I know AD has often said, Mike, why don't you should do a Patreon? And I did set up one. I just, you look at AD and what he does, he's offering something extra to the Patreons.
Right.
I give away everything that we have to offer for free. So I have nothing extra to offer.
Nothing left to offer.
Yeah. Not to say we won't
that
ever,
makes sense.
not to say we won't ever do that. I don't push the whole Amazon link anymore, because they're getting so touchy about that.
I hear other podcasts still do it all the time.
Well, you know how we got caught.
Yeah,
And I say caught. We weren't necessarily doing anything. Well, I don't think they liked the fact that we were saying.
Well, they didn't like the banner, I thought.
No, that was okay. They didn't like the fact that we said, buy this and we'll use the funds to give away gifts.
Yeah.
They didn't like that. But they would have never found out about it if it wasn't for
Dave.
No, it wasn't Dave. It was
I thought it was Dave.
Paul. What's his name? Paul, the guy who does the virtualization stuff.
No.
Paul Branner. God, I can't remember his name now. But
they nailed a lot of us at the same time.
Well, everybody in that article.
Yeah.
Let me go to Patreon. Here, I'll tell you his name. Because I can look up Jim Collison. There we go, Jim Collison. And see who he follows. Paul Barron.
Yeah.
So what Paul was, why am I leaving that on there? We don't need that on there. What Paul Barron was trying to do was say, here's all the podcasters I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And here's their Amazon link. And you can go out there and support them by using their Amazon link. He was trying to be helpful.
Right.
Somehow somebody either reported him or Amazon came across it and said, oh, no.
That's not what this is for.
That is a definite violation. And all 12 of us on the list, boom, lost our Amazon account. And I don't know if any of the others figured it out on why it happened, but I contacted Amazon and said, what the heck? Why? What have I done? I didn't do anything wrong. And they said, you had this article about this. And I said, I have nothing to do with this guy. He didn't check with me. I didn't give him permission to do it. I didn't even know he did it. And they said, doesn't matter. It was in this article. You're now removed. Because as we looked into you, we found that you were also telling people to use your link and you'd use the funds as part of a giveaway. Said, oh, okay. Yeah, I did do that. I didn't know that was wrong. I did do that. Because, hey, I was not wanting to use the funds for us to cover the show or for me to go out and buy my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to use those funds to give back to other people. But apparently I can do that. I just can't tell anybody I'm doing that. So anyway, that's why everybody else got kicked off, is because they were in that article. And I don't know if Paul even knew that it got us all kicked off. I don't know. I told Jim that, because Jim kept trying to figure out why we got kicked off. I said, I told you, Jim. I told you like 4 times why we got kicked off.
He still has it. He still talks about it.
Yeah, he just like me, he went back and you could reopen it later on, and you reopen it, and he got kicked off again for something else he did. I think now he's just given up. And I don't push it anymore. If people see the link and go and do something with it, they do. And every once in a while we get a couple of dollars. But in the heyday, yeah, we might have got $60, $70 a month. And toward the end of the year, I had enough money to go buy, a lot of giveaway stuff for the end of the year photo contest.
Mm-hmm.
And we give it all away. But yeah, whatever. But speaking of that, so what happened, Tim? You just went. You there? I just lost Tim. All right, Gary and Jan and anybody else that's out there, I think I'm going to end the show, end the stream anyway, because I've lost Tim. It looks like Skype just stopped, whatever. It's still up for me, but he's out. Anyway, good night. Oh, lost my connection, says poor. There you go, Tim. So, good night, Jan and Gary and anybody else I missed. Thanks for coming out. I'm going to end the live stream. We'll see you next time. Good night.